talk tonight about federal income taxes. Can you just put this to rest? Has your father paid federal income taxes?
We pay a tremendous amount of taxes, and beyond
federal income taxes,
and beyond, and yes, and beyond,
yes,
and beyond taxes, we also employ tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. The difference between my father and Hillary Clinton is Hillary Clinton has lived off of the government her entire life. She's never created.
Eric, my question though is, has he paid federal income taxes over the last 18 years, yes or no?
Of course, yes, absolutely. My father pays a tremendous amount of tax. We as a company pay a tremendous amount of tax. We as a company also hire a tremendous amount of people, which leads to people being able to provide for their families, people being able to take care of their families, people being able to educate their children. If you look at Hillary, on the other hand, she has never signed the front of a check once. She's never balanced a budget.
So if we ever see your father's income taxes, it will show that he has paid federal income taxes.
There's no question about it. We pay tremendous taxes as a
Will
company.
we see it?
Well, listen, when the audit is over, my father will release it.
Have you seen his tax returns?
And quite frankly, when is she going to release the hundreds of speeches that she gave to special interests? When is she going to release the hundreds of speeches that she gave to Wall Street? Where are those speeches? Why won't she release them? When is she going to release the 33,000 emails?
Have you seen his federal income taxes?
That she deleted after, quite frankly, lying to the Department of Justice, lying to the FBI, and also lying to Congress.
Eric, I'm pretty impressed actually, because you haven't been you haven't been in politics that long, and you're doing the pivot quite well. If you can just put a button on this. Have you seen your father's income taxes?
Yeah, I don't study your tax returns. That's why you have.
But have you seen them?
Of course, you see tax returns.
No, have you seen your father's tax returns?
I'm answering the question. Of course, I've seen my father's tax returns.
Paid federal taxes.
My father pays a tremendous amount of tax. As a company, we pay a tremendous amount of tax, and it goes so far beyond federal income taxes. How about real estate taxes? How about employment taxes? How about sales taxes? How about every other type of tax that goes into that? We pay a tremendous amount of tax as a company. That is very, very, very different than Hillary Clinton, who's lived off the government for the last 40 years.
John King has a question, but very quickly, why not release the income tax returns that are no longer under audit?
Listen, my father said when the audits are over, he will release the taxes. My father's also said, hey, listen, Hillary Clinton, why don't you release the 33,000 emails you deleted, and why don't you release your speech transcripts, and when you do, I'll release my tax returns. And this is a whole distraction.
Because 2002 to 2008 are no longer under audit.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what the attorneys, Morgan Lewis, the law firm for Donald Trump, has said that only for something. Well, they released the public letter, Morgan Lewis. That's a major New York
why don't you look at the actual financial disclosures, the hundreds of pages he put out? My father has an amazing company, and he's built an amazing company. We have some of the best hotels in the world. We have some of the best real estate buildings in the world, some of the best and biggest golf courses in the world. Hey, you know so many of the projects. You've seen them be built over, the last decade or 2 decades. He has an amazing company. He's built a tremendous company. He's employed thousands and thousands of people, and that's very, very different than somebody who's lived their entire existence profiting off of the government. The one question I'd have for you guys is, Hillary went from being dead broke when she left the White House, Hillary and Bill, to being worth $250 million. And the question I have for the three of you is, what product has she ever sold? What is she selling that she went from nothing to $250 million in a 15-year period of time? And we all know the answer.
We don't answer for Hillary Clinton. The Clinton campaign does. But I urge you to show up at your father's debate practice because you do have a skill set here. But frankly, I think a lot of people think he could have, if he had done some of this.
I like this 3-on-1. At least we're having a little fun tonight, right?
So you're sitting in the front row for the debate. They're here with the Pence family to represent your dad and to represent the campaign. When Tim Kaine was not just prosecuting your father, in trying to make his case about your father, saying your father would have a conflict of interest as president, or at least he might until we see the taxes, your name came up, and your brother's. Let's listen.
The Trump Organization is an octopus-like organization with tentacles all over the world, whose conflict of interest could only be known if Donald Trump would release his tax returns. He's refused to do it. His sons have said that the organization has a lot of business dealings in Russia. And remember, the Trump Organization is not a nonprofit. It's putting money into Donald Trump's pockets and into the pockets of his children, whereas the Clinton Foundation is a nonprofit, and no Clinton family member draws any salary.
I want you to respond, and if you can, please, be as specific as you can about the company in Russia, and specifically to the point, Russian banks or any Russian investors, do you owe money to people in Russia?
It's such a nonsense soundbite. I listened to this nonsense about tentacles. You know, we built an amazing company. America should be proud of people who build great companies. That's what America's all about. It's about building, and it's about success, and it's about jobs, and it's about creating the American dream, right? Henry Ford, and I mean, that's what America is about. We should be proud of that. So talk about tentacles all over the world. We have no assets in Russia. That was a nonsense statement.
Any debts?
We have no assets in Russia. We have no debt in Russia. I haven't been to Russia in, what, 6, 7 years off the top of my head? 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? I mean, it's nonsense. I think we held Miss Universe in Russia one year. I think that's the extent of our business dealing there. So we have no hotels. We have no golf assets. We have no residential buildings. We don't have properties in Russia. So to come out here, and I think that's what the American people are fed up with. It's these sound bites. It's these lies. It's the disingenuous nature of it. It's referring to a great company that employs thousands of hardworking Americans as a company that's nefarious, that has tentacles all over the place.
Do you understand the power, though, if your father did release his taxes and laid them out there and say, to your point, here's the papers, they're lying. They're making this up. It doesn't exist. So why wouldn't he do it?
Tax return wouldn't show so many of those things anyway. I mean, that's the interesting
They're
thing.
trying to make the point that there are loans.
If you want to know if we have assets in Russia, go look to see if our name's on a building. Go look to see if we own any property there. We're a real estate company. We're a bricks and mortar company. Go see if we have anything in Russia. The reality is we don't. I mean, we just don't. But it doesn't matter. Look at the Clinton Foundation just for a second, right? The U.S. government sold 20% of the uranium stockpile, the material used to make nuclear weapons, to Russia. 2 weeks later, the Clinton Foundation gets $140 million from the Russian business people who put that deal together. Bill Clinton has been to Moscow a number of times. He's been paid $500,000 to give speeches on so many occasions in Russia. I mean, her ties to Russia are deep. There's no question about it. Anybody who's ever looked at the Clinton Foundation knows that their ties to Russia are incredibly substantial. We have nothing in Russia. This is pure garbage.